Hey, what's up? It's Halloween, and that is why I'm wearing a mask. Which, now that I'm looking at it, is looks like a female mask. It's especially with my hair. Trust me, guys, I'm a guy. Anyways, doesn't matter. I had an awesome conversation with David. Uh, man, how am I gonna pronounce his last name? Excuse me, David, if I'm pronouncing pronouncing it wrong. It's David uh, Chateauneuf, and something like that. Yeah, he is the game designer of Outlast and one of the co-founders of Red Barrel's studio, which have made Outlast 1, Outlast Whistleblower, the DLC, and Outlast 2, and something that is coming new. Can you hear the dog? God damn it. We had what an amazing conversation we had, man. I really loved that conversation. We talked about shitload of horror things, video games, movies, and Outlast, the company, the origin of the Red Barrels. It was awesome. I really, really, really liked this conversation. One of my favorites, and I've learned a lot and I enjoyed this. So, as Trump said, we have a perfect conversation. All right. So, let's get into it and listen to the podcast. Thank you very much, David, and welcome to this special episode of What's Up Conversations. Before starting out, I have to let you know that I'm a big fan of Red Barrels. I remember playing Outlast 1, and as a huge fan of horror, I was like, this is probably the scariest video game I've ever played in my entire life. And then I played
Nice.
Whistleblower, and that game was just crazy. And you guys took it to a whole new level in that. Then, of course, Outlast 2 happened, and I swear a lot of times I wanted to give up on the game because I really couldn't take it anymore. I was afraid of that game shitless, and I have to apologize for all the curse words that I've sent to your team for fucking with my head. And I have to say, I don't get scared easily. My entire childhood, I was fucking around with scary stuff, going to, say, haunted places, looking for some paranormal shit happen. So, yeah, you guys must know a thing or two about making people shit their pants.
Well, you won't believe me, but I don't get scared easily as well. I was like maybe 10, 11.
Yeah.
I was really young, and I wanted to watch horror movies. And like my dad and my mom, they won't let me. But I kind of managed to find some. And since that day, I'll talk about later, and I'm like immune to being scared. I'm like, so the idea behind Outlast was that if we can manage to scare ourselves with that game, then I think it's gonna work out for many people out there. So that was one of the plan, to scare ourselves first, and to make a game for ourselves. And then it kind of happened that everyone loved it and got really scared about it, and we're really happy for that.
Oh, yeah. So, how do you scare yourself with your own game? Do you get
Well,
surprised?
it's hard right now. I think even now we're working on a new title, and it's just kind of hard. We're trying to find solution in ways that we don't know ourselves. So what's going to happen? Because our games, our movies. When you do it, it's like you know what's going to happen. You know the tension you built. So then it's like whatever. But then at some point, when you build a game, like you're doing the concept and you place all the enemies, and you at first, like, it's bright light in the level. The enemies are sketchy, like gray,
Yeah.
the game is not done yet, so it's just like testing the pacing. But then at some point we get to a moment that the music is there and the sound is there, everything is in place, and then we kind of let's see if it works. Like, let's try to step back from the game and see how it's gonna work. And when we play it, it's like, oh, okay, I got a little something, so maybe this is gonna work out for someone else that doesn't know. And then we did play tests for sure. We asked people to test it, and they were like sweating and stuff. So it's like, okay, so when I have that little tiny vibe of, oh, okay, I think it's scary, it means it's fucking huge. The thing is really scary.
Yeah. So let's talk about Halloween. This is a day after Halloween. So how did you spend your Halloween?
Actually, you know what? In Montreal, there was that rain. Like yesterday, there was a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and some cities in Quebec decided to postpone the Halloween. So actually, it's supposed to be tonight. So I didn't do anything. Like there was at the office, there was a guy that disguised themselves. I was supposed to get dressed like that. I forgot. But seriously, it's gonna be tonight. I'll do the Halloween with my daughter and my son, my wife. So we're gonna be the four of us, like wandering the streets. My kid there's one who's gonna be a skeleton. My little boy is gonna be like just a policeman. So it's gonna be like
the usual
like,
police.
Yeah. Well, they love. I think they are not really into like our stuff. My daughter, she knows a little bit about that.
How old are they?
She's 10, and but she knows she knows Outlast. She knows there's some friend at her school that like, oh, your dad created Outlast, and geez, you're lucky and stuff. And she saw also all the. I've got a wall. Like a freaking 900 or DVD on my wall in the around my TV. So it's like they know there's tons of shit and scary stuff in the around it.
But yet they're not exposed to the horror genre that much.
No, we don't. Yeah. We don't let them watch that. Yeah. And my kid, he's 2 years, 2 years old. It's like we don't do anything special about it. Like sometimes he knows what the ghost is, and sometimes he's like, but that's it. Like there's no. We don't scare them.
Yeah. So have you yourself ever experienced a real life paranormal incident?
To be honest, when I was young, I wanted to try that. How stupid we are when we're young.
Yeah. I know completely.
So what happened is that I live in the countryside, like there's Quebec City and south shore of that. Like maybe 30 minutes. Like it's really there's nothing there. And we used to go into a wooden shack, where there was nothing in it, and we tried to do the glass with all the leather, and then we were like, okay, if the glass can lift by itself, then it's gonna go over letters and write down something. But the end of the story is that nothing really happened, dude. We tried, but it was like, okay, maybe that was not serious enough, but no, I haven't really feel some kind of weird thing. And at the same time, I'm not really looking for that. I mean, if there's thing if things does really exist, and well, I just prefer let them where they are and not around me.
Yeah. I have always been looking for something like that. There is some stuff, but not really a thing that you can't really explain it logically, But But yeah.
Well, let me think. There was something weird. Not that happened to me, but to my parents. they were like we were playing downstairs in the house, and my everyone was down in the basement, and we heard some like a footstep like walking in the house up there, and my mom and dad were like, "Oh, David and Caroline, that's the name of my sister." She was like, they must be down like up there and walking, and they finally managed that like we weren't there at all, so they just never knew what was those like footstep, and so something weird, some kind of bizarre thing like that happened around us, but nothing like that happened to me personally, or that would like really scare me a lot.
Yeah. So,
but if you ask me, like, I'm sorry, if you ask me, like, would you go to some kind of spooky or haunted house somewhere? I would be, yeah, I want to go. I want to see that, because like that thrills me. But like myself, like let's go there, the honey. It's like, well, maybe not. Like she won't follow anyway.
So speaking about your childhood, tell me about your background. How did you end up making games, and where did the love of horror enter your life?
Everything started, I guess, with the movie, and one of my favorite, Alien.
Alien.
Yeah, well, I was young, I was, I didn't really know horror movies, but there was like those VHS tape that I had. It was written Alien 1 and 2. And I watched my mom, and it's like, what is that? It's like, oh, don't watch it. It's not for you. All right, okay. So for a while, I didn't watch it. And then suddenly I got maybe a little bit older, and I put the tape, and I was like, okay, let's watch it. I want to know what it is. And that was such a great experience. I was really enjoying it. It was like, and the day after, because I watched it while they were asleep, the day after I was like, why did you tell me not to watch it? It's so freaking good, And from that moment, I was like trying to look for good horror movies, and like in parallel to that, my mom and dad, they really put me into that horror like world as well, because at every Halloween, they really played with that one, like playing monster, and like we turn off all of the lights, and they were into the house trying to scare us. They put masks. They put like my mom used to put some like a vampire teeth, and she was faking to be asleep. And I went to the side of her bed. I was really young, and then she was like, David. I asked her like, hi mom, are you awake? And then she was like, I freaked out. I was crying, and then she promised herself not to do it. But maybe those things like just trigger something in my head. It's like fun equal horror.
Oh, yeah,
being scared is fun. So, and I was always a fan of like intense things, like pursuit, like things like that, like raise the adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's so me. Like I'm intense in all those ways. So Alien, and then I watch other movies. I was like, okay, every Halloween I wanted to have more and watch more, and I started to write down all of them, like the one that I watch, and now I've got a huge freaking collection of that.
Yeah. So actually, Alien was kind of your first monster movie. When was the first time you saw like a ghost story movie?
Does Exorcist count?
Yes, that's.
Well, that one was like I there's that and Evil Dead, but I don't know which one I watched first. But Exorcist, what happened that I watched it with my dad and my mom and my brother, and I was so impacted by that, like, because my dad was telling us at the same time, it really happened, like things like that really happen. It does exist now, like, and I was like, damn, it's like I don't want to be possessed. It's like it's so. Next Sunday, during that time, I went to church, and next Sunday I went to the priest, and I was prepared with the book, and it's like, oh no, there's devil around us, like there's the 666 written on code bar and everything. Is like I freaked out, and I was like, it was all about like being, like, believing and loving people, and I got close to my brother, and it's like, I love you, man. It's like so. And Evil Dead also is one other freaking good, like, horror ghost / like demon experience that and that one is the best ever for me, like, definitely. I watched it over and over, and the remake was like awesome. And that one, I don't remember like pretty well, early, like during, like, maybe I was 11, 12, something like that. And I did drawing. I did, like, pretty much. I was really into Evil Dead. Like, to be honest, I wish I could, like, sometime, like, shake the hand of Sam Raimi and meet Bruce Campbell at the same time. Those are my heroes.
Sam Raimi is not making much of movies these days.
No, I know. Like,
I don't know the reason.
Maybe he moved on. He wanted to not be, like, tagged as a guy that does horror movies, but he does them, like, so good. So he should, like, personally, should stick with it. Like, me, I would do horror games like my whole life.
Yeah. You said about Exorcist. Actually, Exorcist, Shining, and Michael Jackson's Thriller was first time I was exposed to horror, and I remember watching Exorcist, and that, I believe Exorcist is kind of a superhero movie too, because I was watching that movie and the characters are introduced very well to the audience, and you kind of know them, and suddenly shit is happening to them, and you're worried about them, and of course the horror is there, and as a child, I was really afraid of that scenes.
Yeah.
And then the main exorcist comes and saves the day, and that was like the entrance of the biggest entrance in the superhero movie, and I was so pumped by that. And the day after, I went to my school. I was at the elementary, and I asked my teacher, I want to be an exorcist, how can I be an exorcist? And she was like, Jesus, tell your parents come tomorrow, man. What's wrong with you? So that much of power and that balance between showing something really horrific and then something really heroic, that was awesome. I really love Exorcist, and when I think about it, I still have the chills. So yeah. So let's talk about Red Barrels. I think Red Barrels is heaven for whoever likes to make horror games. How did the company start out? And also, please talk about the origin of Outlast.
Well, I'll start by saying, like, it's, well, for people who maybe don't believe, like, I'll just prove yourself that I'm really David.
You're gonna, like, is that David? Oh yeah, here you have David.
There you go. Man, so that's really me. I've been in
let me take off the mask because I'm fucking boiled in here.
It's so freaking hot, huh? And then I need my coffee as well.
See, I'm much more scarier with that mask.
Right. And the light counts.
Yeah.
So the story, like, how it worked is that before I was at Ubisoft, like, for 10 years, and I started to be a little bit like I don't know, like burn, like pissed, and I started acting weird, and so I guess I needed to change a little bit the thing. So I went to Electronic Art, that was also a growing company in Montreal, that like several years ago. Then I met, well, I used to work with Philippe Morin, and I knew Hugo Dallaire, but I didn't work with him in the past while we were at Ubisoft. But still, we kind of, we had that project at EA that was really exciting, so I decided to leave Ubisoft to go there. But then things started to fall apart at EA, so we felt that it would be a good time to leave before we would be fired. Even though we had we were scared to not find a job. Like we were experienced guy in the industry, so we were not scared of finding something else. But then we said let's not switch switch 4 quarters for dollar. Let's just find something more impressive that really represent us. So we tried. We came up with different type of games. So we brainstormed.
How many people were you back then?
We were just 3. Well, the 3 co-founder, Hugo Dallaire, Philippe Morin, and myself, we talked, and it's like, what do we do? So let's quit. So we kind of managed to quit. I didn't get a bonus pack. I didn't get it. Both of them had money to live while we were brainstorming. Me, I had to live on my rear, on my money that I put on my loft and everything. So I was like, okay, it becomes worth something, because I was really losing money as the time goes. But then for me, it was really important that we had to do in our things, or I had to feel confident about things that we would do in order to move forward. So we had ideas, we brainstormed on things, and I remember playing Amnesia when I was at EA, and it was oh, that's so good. So, but they got something, but it's not quite I don't know. It doesn't reach me, because it's a brown castle somewhere. It's not here. It's not. It's less American, and so I was like, okay, let's do something for us that gets what they have, the fact that you cannot attack. So we just kept that and say, okay, let's do something our style. And Hugo started to make tests with the night vision. I was trying to write down all the sequences that scared me for all of the movies that I had. So, and I was we were talking about where should it go, should the game takes place, and we went classic, a place where people will not feel welcome. So Jerusalem, all right. But then there was that vibe of and there's still that vibe of having the creatures right now, where those are zombies. They are so popular because they kind of represent the society, people following orders. So that's why they are so popular, and not a vampire. And those days there was some moment that people got more afraid of, UFOs, and now it's zombies. So, but we had to find our own style of zombies, and the way we approach it is that there's something scary in the deep down of ourselves, the human being. When the mind is twisted, there's something weird and something scary to that would work. And it's not always a monster that is necessary, but a human that is not quite on track. So we use that fear of being scared of the unpredictable, the whole aspect of unpredictability was the key for us, and that's something also people were when they tried the game in the early stage, they were saying, okay, but why does that enemy, why does those enemy doesn't attack me? Well, it's not enemies. It's just it's guys that are there, and you have to deal with them. Say, but I don't know what to do. Well, that's the point. You don't know if they're gonna jump on you. You don't know if they're gonna attack you, chase, like let you go. So, and that thing was the key from that moment to the whole Outlast experience. And even in Outlast 2, we try not to make all the enemies like dangerous. We try to make them weird, and sometime letting you go, sometime like just kicking you or following you or punching you, and sometimes trying to really kill you brutally. So playing with those rules was kind of the key for Outlast. And so based on to come back with the company, so that was something we decided and we found early on, and we decided to start on with that idea. So we used Unreal to do a small, like a small map, a small trailer, a playable, not really a playable trailer. It was something that was built in Unreal, not playable, but then that we could at least build all the assets. So if the game works, if we get the money,
then the first trailer of Outlast 1 when it came out, when the character goes hide under the bed.
Yes, that was the first thing. That thing was built by the three of us. We asked for an animator to help us, like doing the animation. We asked for a guy, like an audio guy, to put the music, but then most of the thing, I'm not sure I have like the early, like we have the gray box, like really shitty, made by in 3D Studio Max, but then the whole thing, the vibe of that was the trailer that helped us getting the money from the Canadian Media Fund. That is, we're lucky, and it's available in Canada. Like they have a certain amount of money that are ready to give. Well, to give, you have to pay them back, but then to give to groups of people that wants to jump into and take risk about on making games or something like innovative. So we use that demo, and we build up our business plan, because for sure we needed that, and we went to see them. And at first the first time we asked for it, they didn't say yes. There was a leak. There was a hole in our business plan. So we had to wait an extra 6 months for the next wave of money. So we were like, damn it. So we used those 6 months to find all the things that were missing, the pieces that were missing, like a lead programmer, for instance, and thinking about the marketing and the money. It's like, but we're developers, so we weren't prepared for all that. So, but the second time it did work out, and I remember during an afternoon receiving a call from Phil, like, "We got the money! We got the money!" We're so freaking happy. It's like, okay, yeah. So now instead of like just working in a small place, with our own PCs, we're gonna like start buying our stuff, and we use that the demo after that to present it to like different people in Montreal that we knew that wanted to jump into the experience, and they were like, "Oh, damn, that's really good. That we had something in our hand from that moment, and we had to ship the game in the next year because for the amount of money that we had, we decided to go for the really small team, but like pay them like a lot more than the rest, so we can get the best the best people that we could find for having the best level of quality, and then ourselves with our salary was like really low, just to make it work. So to afford like really people that was necessary to ship the game, and the whole team was really into it, and we kind of learned to build a company as we were building our own style, because we never really did our games before, so everything was new at the time, and that's pretty much how it worked. And also, I forgot something. We went to see the Angels. You know, like if you are familiar with that expression, like, you know, group of people that are ready to give you money if they are part of your business plan and everything. So I went to see a group of people that were like, okay, present me the project, and they wanted to keep like maybe 30% of the company and everything. Is like, no, let's not deal with those guys. We can find all our ways. We always believed in us in that sense. We always tried to do things in all ways, even if we had no experience whatsoever in that. To be honest, Phil Morin was like now like between the three of us, like, is the president, taking care of the business side. He really had a good feeling all the time about where we should go, and we always back him up about that. And sometimes in the team, it's pretty much like his job making sure that all that works. I'm more like the free gameplay experience guy, and Hugo is the artist technical that like knows how the engine works, and then how to play with shadows. Like he did the Splinter Cell, the first one, so he knew how to do like a really cool stuff with the night vision and the shadows and the heart, and how to build up an artistic asset and everything. So the only thing that was missing is like a programmer that joined us really soon in the process, at the same time as THQ fell. The THQ was in Montreal, and they kind of didn't work out for them. But we kind of managed to grab a programmer there, and we had a good quatuor of guys that were solid enough to move forward and be the locomotive to drive the project, and then like after that, it's a whistleblower. We should do a DLC right now, because we have the money. We cannot we don't have to think about what's going to be our next title. So let's go. Let's do a DLC right away. So what should be the DLC? And we try to find fill the hole of the question that players had for the first Outlast. I'm just like, okay, let's do this. And then it's mostly after Whistleblower that we kind of said, okay, let's take a break, guys, or we're really tired. So we spend maybe six months really chilling out, really? Working 4 days a week. Oh yeah, we were tired, but at the same time it's the first time in our life maybe that we had time. I never really had a year off since I started in the video game industry, which is 20 years, 21 years. Really soon, on January, it's going to be my 21st years in the industry. And it's I really had when I started the company, a little bit. It was not we had to produce something really fast. So we sat down a little bit, chill out. And at the same time, I became a dad. Things changed at that same time, so that was a really good moment for us to just to relax before starting something brand new, like what we're doing right now, and that we announced at the same time yesterday. I don't know if you follow a little bit the teaser.
Yeah, I saw that poster. So I'm so excited
Yeah.
about it. Anything from you guys is exciting, and this is a very inspiring story because uh, not only you quit your job, but you started with fresh, with new people, working on something you've never worked on, in a genre which is very risky, and with no money in the beginning. And this is
Yeah.
really inspiring that how things worked out, and now we're here. And I truly believe, for me, Outlast is the scariest game out there, and that is so important. And how long is it since you started making Outlast one?
How long? Like it was we. It was in the 2000, and I'm kind of lost. I guess it's been 7 years now.
Yeah.
It's like we spent 6, 7, 8 months, 8, 9 months trying to wrap up the whole universe. So yeah, in 2013. I think I'm right. Is that? Yeah, we shipped in 30.
Yeah.
I'm not. But yeah, we built that hustle. Actually, I did the whole layout of that, like, because we had the time. It's not like we have to ship something like quick. I had the time as we found all the employees. I was building Lego block. Like Hugo gave me like walls and floor. So I was like, okay, let's do corridor like this. I think I watched like Islam plan about like how big it should be, where should we go from location to location. And then at some point we had like we had issues like there was issue of, okay, if we start the game in the administrative block, at first in the really beginning, it was like, let's do all of the administration block and then go to one other place. But we decided to cut it in two. So then we had to start in the administrative block a little bit, then being sent back at the end of the asylum in the prison, and then find our way back into the administrative block. And it took us 6, 7, 8 months. We were like 10 at first, like 7, 8, 9, but we had like really good artists. And there's a bunch of guys that are still with us right now, like the core element of the game. The teams is like Patrice Côté, Alex Sabourin. Those guys were there from the early beginning. And then some new people joined the team, and I'm probably forgetting the names here. But then it took us around a little bit less than a year to build up all that and ask different people like Sam, who is our composer, that work into like some teleseries in Quebec, that wanted to add that weird vibe, and like you were talking about Shining, and so we showed him like some of the video clip, like, have you seen it's called Rubber Johnny from Chris Cunningham?
No.
That if you look at this on YouTube, it's really that thing inspired us a lot for the like visual vibe. Maybe not the music, but in terms of like, it's really scary. It's kind of weird. And so during that whole like year, we just had to move forward and keep on the good job and never stops, because like there was like we were kind of seeing the we were not gonna have like more money to finish the game if we don't ship it at that time. So we had no choice than to ship it into one year.
Wow.
But before that, like Phil and I wanted to do an horror games when we were back at Ubisoft, something on the Wii. But for Ubisoft, that wasn't really a good plan because they wanted to do like some more like a big mass market AAA games, and for sure the horror genre is more like it's like a niche. There's like few people, so spending so much money on that for them wasn't a good idea. But for a small company like us, we were like, okay, if we are a small group of people, talented, and then it's going to work, and everyone's going to win in that situation.
Yeah, I'm about that. I'm happy that Resident Evil remake did good because we really need, not need, we. It's good
No,
to
no, I
have
see what you.
AAA companies work on risky horror games, and yeah, but horror games are really, really good right now in a really good spot. At least as a player, I'm really happy with the, I don't know,
Yeah,
the stuff I'm
it's
working.
you're right. There was like Resident Evil. They had like they had all their vibes at the beginning, and then they changed for kind of a third-person experience with the Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And personally, like the fifth and the sixth one was like. I don't want to, we're talking, but I don't want to like say, that's bad. But it wasn't. I think they could have done better. They were
Exactly.
mostly repeating themselves, and I'm flatter in some way. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt in Resident Evil 7 that
Yeah.
they kind of take a little bit what we did, like
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like, but they kind of kept their style, because like they still have like guns, and you have to watch for your
First 2
ammunition.
hours of that game was scary for me because it was kind of close to Outlast, and then they introduced weapons which really.
Yeah, at that point you're like, okay, I can kill.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of find their own rules to justify why they come back to life, and but then you can feel at the end it's like, oh yeah, we need to do a Resident Evil game, so let's put more like zombie like there's a moment where it's like it has nothing to do with the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like they started to do something to enter into competition with us, because they had like a strong character with like and good things, and they had the money to have like VR and everything. So we were like, oh, okay, they are inspired by us. And even Alien Isolation, I think they did a little bit the same. It's like, hey, they never did that before. So it's like that huge vibe that we saw changed after we shipped Outlast 1. And again, maybe those ideas was already in the air, and we are. It's not us, but I'm glad sometimes to think that, oh, maybe we're part of something in that. The same thing as we got inspired by Amnesia and other games in the past that were like, oh, let's do something like new, and so it's like it's fun to see like how it grows and how the fan likes the game, and they are better for sure. Like I've got a huge a freaking huge amount of indie and our games at the office. So like everyone tries to do their own thing, and it's like more accessible with Unity and everything. So it's fun to see all those things grows and then, to be honest, also even PT also, like that playable trailer, they brought something as well. Like, because there was a bunch of games after that, like Layers of Fear, and that tried to get inspired by that weird vibe of just walking and exploring, and then being scared still. But that's their style, and I respect that. And personally, I like those games. But then, yeah, now it's kind of better. It's not like just action into a horror setting.
Yeah.
Because that was what our games became when we started Outlast, and that's one of the reasons why we decided not to do something action like but still, board games are good. But then Dead Space, that for me, that was always like a Resident Evil in space.
Yeah.
But you had like guns, and so I was like, damn, freaking guns! The moment I have something in my hand, I can use it to defend myself. So I'm in a I'll be empowered to something. I'll have a control over something. So we said like, no freaking tools, and let's see how players react to that. And when we went to PAX in Boston, the years we wanted to ship Outlast, people were like, "Oh, that's good. It's a good idea. No weapons. Don't put any weapons." Because we kind of asked them. We thought about maybe adding weapons and say, "No, don't do it." It's like, so we listened to our fan a lot, and actually we had the perfect fan. Our fan base, I love them.
Yeah.
They are so great. They are following us. They talk to us a lot. We were listening to them, and actually the next title is something almost in reaction to what they were asking.
Yeah, exactly. Not having a gun, and especially not knowing exactly where to go. I mean, like pinpointing on a map or somewhere, like, okay, you're at an A point and you have to go to the B point right now. That really is something else, especially in Outlast 2, which was bigger. And I remember there were times like, so where the fuck should I go right now? Just,
Yeah.
This is unfair. And I was like criticizing the game, like, is that guy gonna attack me or not? Where am I gonna go? This is too scary. I don't know what to do. And then I realized these feelings are exactly what you guys were looking for. And I was enjoying that meantime.
Yeah, but there's a fine line between like being not knowing where to go because it's part of the experience, and not knowing because it's frustrating because it's hard to see or it's not well presented. We always had like those things in our head, like I'll call that like it's anti-game design rules. You know, there's like things that player are used to, like give them like lit the path where they have to go, and if we do that, well, they'll know, and it's going to be easy and fast. So we were like, okay, the player must explore and they must not really know where to go, but not too far because they're going to be like, okay, I don't know where to go, it sucks or it's not well done. So there was that line, always hard to find. But yeah, the feeling about always not being sure of anything is kind of it's kind of the key to Outlast. So it's until but we still have Outlast 2 was kind of hard for that. At the end, we had issue with light and is it too dark? Is it not too dark? Like we had monitors and we were at the office. Like should we put like this and that? People are going to be too lost, and we had to adapt ourselves at the end to answer all those concerns. And even sometime in Whistleblower, we had issue where we're like, okay, like players are going to be in the setups where they are not going to know for sure where the end is, but then we kind of discover maybe too late that okay, it's just because it's really not well lit, and the player just spend too much time in the sequence that in our head was supposed to last like just 2 minutes, but they spend freaking 10 minutes on that. So it's that thing is hard. It's playtest, and sometimes it's just a bad feeling or good feeling. But it's definitely a key, not letting the player feel in control of the environment and on the enemies. So
yeah,
that's
Outlast is kind of beat by beat designed to scare the players. How do you decide about the time and places you want to spook the gamers?
How do I decide the time? What?
And place to spook the gamers, like now we have a cutscene to scare the player. Now he has to explore platforming.
It's a little bit of there's no key. There's no. It's mostly try and error. To be honest, I wish I would know, because sometimes you're doing the no, but I mean you're doing the environment. So you think, okay, so you don't know if the environment is big enough. So you're going into the environment. It's like, okay, but we're going too fast into. So you put like desk and everything. It's like and blocking stuff. You have to crouch. It's like, okay, now it's slower. Okay, but then the scary thing that I placed at the end of the hallway was supposed to be at like X minute. But then since we had like those things, it changed to be longer. So then it was like, okay, so we were always forced to adapt ourselves, adapt the timing of each event. And sometimes we had to get rid of some that we wanted to do, or had some more to make sure that, oh, okay, now when we watch like playtester testing the game, they were feeling too comfortable, so we had to, oh, okay, no, let's put something here so we took notes on that. And for Outlast 2, we knew that we had like two, well, in Outlast 1 we had two, well, people complain about having two scare jump, so we kind of tweak the time between those moments and make more like gameplay sequences where it's more like optional, where you can go. But like people sometimes, there are some like saying that Outlast 1 is better for that, and some are saying that it's Outlast 2. So like it's the same guy that did the game, so there's no real solution. It's always it's less like a game where do we have we have enough guns, action, rewards, and everything. We don't have guns, we don't have action, we don't have rewards. It's all about like experience, feeling, and so it was really something really difficult for us to get used to when we started the first Outlast. Now I can say we know more what to do, but when we know more what to do, but we need to change our soul, because people are going to get used to, and they're going to say, oh yeah, I know they're pacing, right? Like when you watch an horror movie now, you know, okay, they stop the music, so I'll get scared there. So we have to change all that every time we start a new games. So even the team's like, okay, well, we should do that. We did that. We have to change again. So it's always like redoing something.
Exactly. Each Outlast, now that you mention it, for me is kind of different experience. And especially I played Outlast 1 and the DLC continuously, and Whistleblower was something completely different. I was like, they could have released this as Outlast 2. But and the second one actually was different than the other two. The second one was fucking scary. So I'm curious about the process of testing the game with testers. What do you seek, and how do you test a horror game like Outlast?
Well, actually, we got like some. There's a company in around Montreal that have a bunch of players that like are good at testing, but also they are gamers. So we ship them a version of the game, not fully shipped, not fully perfect, and we gave them that. And I always go there, and I'm sitting behind them, and then I have my pad, and I see, okay, are they reacting well? Are they getting bored? Are they like, I don't know, like, are they drawing something because they're dead and it sucks, or are they their face, so their body language, their what they're suggesting as well at the end of those phases. Sometimes they gave us like feedback and guidelines, and they give sometimes like concrete game design ideas and systems that help us. So because actually we pay them to give us that kind of thing, but it's really they are really competent. Like there's like in Montreal, around in Quebec, we got like there's a talent there, like artistic talent that and passion that people have. So we can always rely to each other to give us like the best comment and feedback ever. So and when we have all that feedback, I'm going back to the office and I say, okay, well, people are saying it's I don't know. Sometimes they're saying something, but between the lines, you can understand that, okay, it's not specifically what they're asking, or the problem is not that. It's because you have to think in different ways and say, okay, let's do this and change that, and sometimes it's just like the sound of the camera, the night vision, the night vision and the sound in Outlast 2. We had to give something new for the player. So not just like seeing in the dark, but then maybe also analyzing the environment with a microphone and see where the enemies are to give him, but not too not so much in a way that player will know everything, because if he knows, then he won't get scared. You know, those things are things that sometimes we receive feedback on. It's like, is there what's new with the camera now? It's like, oh yeah, we haven't thought about it. It's like, yeah, for sure, it's part of it's the signature of Outlast, and there are some other like things that was in the back of our mind since a while. Like I remember Phil Morin saying, he was a teacher back in the days at the university, like about like game design and scenario and narrative stuff, and he was studying to his student. There's that movie Memento. There's a structure there. You know, you watched it, like the thing backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like
Christopher Nolan's movie.
Yeah, and so in that movie, there's a structure. It's like, no, there's no structure because it's all the opposite. It's like, no, there's really a structure there. And it's like, ideally, it would be fun if sometimes I can find a place in the game so I can put it inside. And the Outlast 2 kind of managed to find it, and we had fun doing it. It was quite a hard challenge, but if you play all of the school sequence backward, like if you start at the end of the game and you play, you're gonna see the whole story of you being trapped, being catch, and then quitting the school at the end. But then quitting the school at the beginning of the game, you think it's like, what is that? Why do I quit school? Yeah. But if you really play those things so it comes from us, from our ideas of how we experience the cinema and how we want to present things, and sometimes it's like ideas in the team and what they think should be good, because like we are all artists, and sometimes it can anything can come up by anyone. So we're just trying to grab the best. We're trying for sure. Sometimes we might a good idea might slip in our hands because we see it in one of the other game that has been shipped. It's like, damn, we had it and we didn't do it. But it's part of the game. So yeah, the playtesting thing is really tricky, because you always have to understand really behind what they're saying to adapt the game so it answers their requests and their concerns.
Yeah. Have you ever dialed down anything being too scary? Like, oh man, we gotta get rid of this. It's too scary. It's not comfortable.
No. But we sometimes we were wondering for 3 moments that we said like we should get rid of it because we're gonna have like problems and issue with the critics, and even like in terms of ourselves. If I talk about in Outlast 1, when we are in the cell and the cells, and we climb up, and you see a guy ripping a corpse.
Yeah.
That that moment, that moment was like anyone can say, like, was that necessary? Like, but then, yes, it was, not because it's like, yeah, we want to show that because we're freaking twisted. No, it's because we want the player to feel that, well, those things happens. I mean, those guys inside a asylum are criminally insane. Some are like that, and it's part of the world to find, like, oh yeah, it's disgusting. It puts the player into a vibe that is necessary for the rest. So we could have like done something more subtle, but then that's not us.
Yeah, and
Red Barrels, we're not subtle. We're moving, like, it's always the line a little bit, like doing something not quite cool, you know. It's because big company are scared to do that, and us, we're not. we don't care, but we try to still see like a limit, because we don't want to be like banished. That almost happens for Outlast 2. We don't want like go there because nobody's gonna see it. So and we understand those rules, like adult, mature stuff. Okay, but we never pretended that the game was supposed to be for everyone. We're all cool with the mature rating, so that's why we accept, like, you know, or the gang jerking off over a pile of dead body, or protagonist like being naked on a table with the seesaw, like trying to chop his balls. And
even
like,
Whistleblower was crazier than before. But was it because it was a DLC that you went nuts in the Whistleblower?
I think in Outlast 1 we had to quickly find our recipe, and then we quickly learn what people like the most, and also, well, we find ourselves like, okay, strong character is definitely something, and a strong and weird character is something that that people loves. Like Trigger was like always a good reference to kind of for on Outlast 1 to be the source of like, you know, it's just really a good character. And so it's like Eddie Glaskin, and the like not the butcher, but the cook. we wanted to, like, weird guy with a weapon that makes noise. The other guy is like more twisted and then has something like disconnect in his brain. And so we found our rules in the Whistleblower. So it was easier for us to come up with a strong situation layout that like fulfill all the hole that we couldn't do in Outlast 1. So that's why for me it's like Outlast 1 Whistleblower is really good. Like it's a good wrap. It wraps well the whole thing, story, and the madness of what could happen there. And that is why we wanted to explore something completely new in Outlast 2. Is like, okay, so we know how to masterize this, but then now outside, like, it's more tricky, it's more hard. How are we gonna do that? If we want a more variety of enemies, because Outlast 1 was mostly like criminally insane, but Outlast 2 we had like those religious character in the first village. We wanted to have like those like syphilitic guy in the forest that are not the same, and then so we want to have like different clan that would like shuffle the card in terms of what the expectation of the player. And you know, it's like if for the next one, because we said it, like we're gonna do something someday. We're gonna do an Outlast 3. We're gonna have to find something different again, so the player will not know what to expect and feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah, and mentioning Outlast 2, explaining that game is so awesome. A bunch of religious guy and a bunch of kind of satanic guy, and you're between that just a regular guy. And I remember playing that game. I was like, man, what if they are right? What if I'm the one who is ignorant in this? And in the end, you
Yeah,
see something that was awesome. The ending of Outlast 2 was fucking great. So, I'm a music composer and sound designer. What advice do you have for me making horror games audio wise?
Oh shit! It's tricky. I wish like Francis Bros would be sitting right next to me to tell you that. He's the one like talking about all that. It's all about. I think I don't want to answer for himself, but I know one thing or two about that. It's like the rhythm, like there's like the music in Alien 1. There's always like
Oh yeah.
boom, boom. But it's something that you get used to.
It's actually kind of a metronome
like,
for
yeah.
the movie or the game. So the elements, the horrific elements of the game or the movie happens on those metronomes, and it's always constantly going forward.
Yeah, so you have to find your own and play with it and find the right instrument that fits your will. We completely have different instrument for Outlast 2. It was really fun when Francis played with those and try with the company like that did the sound. Finding the sweet, like weird music and comfortable music, and then for each moment of like being stealth, being chased, it's really touchy. But there's so many great reference out there. It's like we should have a vibe of this and a color of that, and then we talk about that a lot, and after that we cut those pieces into systems that fits with the AI and triggers to set the tone where we want the player to what the player wants to feel. And actually, there's something that we didn't do that a game did a while ago about the music that was a key. It's I don't know if you remember playing the first Alone in the Dark. That game, I read a book about what they were saying, and they were wanted to do. And actually, at some point, there was always a music when there was a ghost somewhere or a zombie somewhere, the protagonist, and they had fun playing with that by sometimes playing the music without having any enemies. And there was your brain do this dangerous, so you get scared and you want to run, but then nothing happens. So and that is something it's gonna have something to be improved in the next in the next genre of our games, like playing tricks to the player, because like yes, when you want to support an emotion with the music, but sometimes always that the player will feel comfortable with that support and will be all right. But then that's why sometimes it's good to have like nothing or like no music, and the player will be okay, but I don't like it. It's silent, and then paf, you scare the player with the music, and it's like, or music, and then nothing. Sometimes it goes with the same thing as in terms of what we call the free gameplay in Outlast. One is like sometimes we realize that having nothing is scarier than having an enemy in front of you. So, and the music plays a big role in that, because that's the only thing that the player can hear is hearing the vibe and all the small sound and details of the environment, the creaking wood, and that sometimes is enough to let the player like imagining thing, and those are the moment where players don't want to move forward.
Yeah. So let's talk about movies. What's your poison?
Yep.
Zombies, ghosts, monsters? What type of horror do you like the most?
The most. It's I'm really average in all those things, because before it was definitely like demons and stuff like that. But I think it's still kind of it's still that. I think mostly ghost are really like spirits, like the gray, how it's called, they are going into a haunted house, actually, like where there's ghosts and things that you cannot really understand, and then there's like silhouette in the background that you're like, oh, there was something there.
Yeah.
It's like it's always you don't, because you're not in control, you cannot touch them. They are like, Conjuring, those movies are freaking awesome. But when it becomes to some kind of murder, like serial killer, people would be like, there are some that would be, those are the one that scare me the most, because it's possible. Yeah. And me, I'm saying, but because it's possible and happens in real life, I'm so used to, so that it doesn't scare me at all. Like, because at least I know something about them. Like, there's some analysis and about like what a serial killer can be, and it's like, but then a ghost or spirit or that, there's no rules. It's not explained, and then there's always that like little line where do you believe in it? Yes, no. And there's always someone that can say that like crazy shit happened to me, and like cannot explain why. So, and then possession, like, are they gonna possess me? Are they gonna like play tricks with me? It's like, those are really good movies.
Yeah, for me, a film like Zodiac is much more scarier than a slasher like Halloween. Yeah, because those shit happened, and they gonna happen. I remember I was exposed to the story of Jack the Ripper when I was very, very young, and man, I couldn't sleep anymore. And I was constantly seeing him around, and I remember I started to write about Jack the Ripper. I was like 13 years old. I started to write about Jack the Ripper. I actually wrote his story, what happened during that time, and then it was kind of okay with me, like, okay, this is something that happened in real world way before I was born. So I kind of say, I get it. So for me, the ghosts are scary too, because there is a possibility, but I do believe in ghosts, like did believe in that.
Yeah, well, maybe not like how they are showed, like in with the like white and like it's that's really like but well, when for me, when I say ghost, it's really like again, it's something like around you or that you
something
can feel
unknown.
Something that's not right, and you feel a presence, you're being watched, and it's like and it's really well done and then shown in our movies. And would it be something like, but that wouldn't be something that we would do, like, or we would start some like a new IP completely if you want to go that way.
Yeah.
Still, we kind of did it a little bit in Outlast 2, having that but it was like an inside force, some kind of a representation of something. But it's something that can be really well done. That I don't know which game so far has done something like with that is really well done.
Did you play that game Devotion? I think it was Devotion. The game that was banned in China and totally they
Devotion
took it off.
I think I've got it. Oh, or if they took it out, I don't have it in. Or see if I had it, then maybe I can.
It was kind of like PT, but it was really, really something new, and it was some political elements in the game about China and stuff. And first it was banned in China, then the game is completely gone. No one can play it anymore. Yeah, well, that was a good game. Yeah. So, what was the last awesome horror film you've watched?
I watched. Damn. See, I'm trying to watch a lot. It's I watched Eli.
Wow.
It's on Netflix right now. Well, in Canada it's on Eli. It's like a little guy, little boy that seems to not be able to breathe outside. He's always like he has that like.
Oh yeah, I know of movies. Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And he's going to a doctor in a specific house, and it's like now you can't take off your mask, and then there's a doctor trying to help you, and then there's a twist at the end, and then I really liked it. Again, it's because like I watch so many movies that it's right now it's hard to find a good one that I haven't seen, or sometimes I'm just like let's rewatch this one.
The last movie I watched actually was the night of Halloween. Was the Scariest Stories to Tell in the Dark. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Scariest Story. Okay.
It's produced by Guillermo del Toro. It's based on the I don't remember actually the original name of the book, but it's based on a book. But it's a horror film for kind of teenagers, but they're all ghost stories, and it felt awesome because I could see myself being like a 13 years old boy going through haunted houses.
Okay,
yeah. Strongly recommend that movie. It's a good movie. Are you excited about Doctor Sleep?
These days I'm a little bit off of like. But yeah, though that one is the sequel to Shining, right? Yeah. I watched the trailer a while ago, and then I was like, I don't know where the movie's gonna be out, but I'll watch it for sure
tomorrow or the day after. Yeah.
No way! Ah, shit. Oh. Yeah.
The funny thing is, they are in Doctor Sleep. It's kind of have the elements of the book and the Kubrick's movie both together in the movie, and it's 3 hours, I guess. Yeah, I heard good stuff. I haven't watched it yet. So, what kind of a horror game do you like? What is your favorite? And tell me what horror game do you think is the best in the last decade? Not counting Outlast.
I wouldn't say my. I wouldn't say Outlast. It's not the last decade, but definitely I was a huge fan of Silent Hill, Silent Hill 1 and especially 2. Those games were awesome for me. Resident Evil 4 definitely, 7. The last good one that I played was before Outlast. It was Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That I really, really loved that one. Um, and then there's some like indie games that I played, but not that I don't like. There's so many names in my head in terms, because there are so many that I forgot them. There was name them Dying Light. It's like I don't count them as our games, but yeah, I think that's it. They're decent. Silent Hill, Resident Evil 7, 4. I quite liked Evil Within as well.
Oh yeah,
That's a good game.
Yeah.
I like the going back and forth, building characters, and then it's well done. I mean, it's addictive. I don't know how they did it, but it's like you want to keep continue and see what's happening, and the gameplay is fun, going around houses, and I like exploring as well. So and actually that's something missing. If I had to do a complete new game, and then outside of the Outlast universe, it would be a kind of open world,
Yeah.
I think awesome. There's like, we got open world, but it's always action. But what if there's nothing, it's an open world, there's a few people, you can talk on the radio and stuff, and you have to walk, and it's open world, and there's like weird tons of shit out there. And that would be something.
Yeah, do you remember the first Call of Cthulhu game? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, that
no,
game
it's like the dark,
yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I got we inspired ourselves from that game, like especially the chase part.
Yeah.
Like Outlast 1, the chase sequence has been done based on the Call of Cthulhu, the first one.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Actually ended. I don't know the remake.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I played that game. Wasn't good.
I don't know. I didn't find the same. I was expecting so much, and I was like, nope, that's not. No, doesn't work for me. I stopped playing it.
But have you played The Sinking City?
Not yet.
Yeah,
I have it in my
game, really. That game is actually an open world with Cthulhu elements. That's really not very strong in technical parts, but very, very close to Lovecraft books. So
yeah, but that's what I read. It's like I was looking at Call of Cthulhu and this, and it was like, oh, it's the same thing, but the review of the other one was like much better, and so I was like, okay, but I need it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll start it.
Yeah. So what do you see in the future of horror games, and what needs to be done to push the genre forward?
I won't say the classic thing, because the classic would be, I'll say it just so the VR thing, but I don't. I'm not sure it's that's just a way of experiencing a game. It's not. It's too easy to depend on some hardware to say, that's the new genre. It's quite hard, because telling you that right now would tell all these secrets that I would have for Outlast 3. No, it's really a tough question. Because when we did Outlast 1, we wouldn't have like that in our minds. Like, okay, that's the new genre. We just felt that it was a good vibe for us to say something that we want to say. So I guess it would depend on what kind of what kind of message that we will want to message and what kind of vibe that we want the player to be like. We want to be like most like feeling like a camera footage things.
Yeah.
It could be that could be an idea of like not doing a game that starts with a story and the end, but then just giving the player the opportunity to be part of something bigger than like that. That's why I was saying maybe it's about like being an open world where you play and then you're in that world and there's no control. You have to you can record your thing. You can being a little bit like what Blair Witch Project did. They didn't do something new. They just make the experience being lived in a different perspective. So maybe that's what's gonna be the next for us. Maybe not like a strong story thing, but mostly feeling more like somebody that cannot do anything in that weird, like, and I think it happened a little bit in those like PT style games that came out and some that has been canceled, that you're in your house and things happening and what do you do? Like, how do you feel? It's more close to people, I think, than like exploring a story. But I don't think those things would disappear. But I wish there would be more like games where I'll be immersed and I'll be free to explore and discover by myself what happened. A little bit like Walking Dead. Like if you imagining playing as Rick Grimes when he wakes up, like that would be something weird to play. Yeah. Like what to do, where to go, and then having to discover things. Like that could be something.
Yeah, I think what I get from your words is that the perspective matters, because there are elements in the history of cinema, in the history of video games, like ghosts, like zombies, but the perspective of how you are going to show that to the viewer or the player. Like, as you said, the Blair Witch Project was like hand cam, and then Paranormal Activity was like surveillance camera, and so it's those are what you can control. But then a zombie is always going to be a zombie. Like being scared is always going to be like I'm scared. But how do you present it? Because we can say that almost everything has been done. But it's how you gonna show it and make the player feel it. That will be different from generation to generation. Yeah. And I think it's like a composer and developer will find those ways. But if we keep copying, then it will just make great new stories, but not great new experience. Yeah, have you watched The Babadook?
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, that movie was really very, very interesting, because that was, of course, a horror film, but the message behind that film, absence of a father in house, was really immersed with reality, with the horror of that film, and that was something unique that made it even more scarier. So I think the combination of different elements really helps.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also the It Follows also has been it's something that it's not it's like teenagers that are stuck with something that like affect their lives.
Yeah,
it's it's not like no, it's really interesting. It's those twists that
and at the origin of that, the fear of unknown. Back a
Yeah.
month ago, my friend is working in a new company, and I went to see him, but he wasn't there, and another friend of mine was there, and I was like, okay, where he's sitting. I said, "Yeah, he usually sits here," and I wrote on a piece of paper this: "I will fucking kill you one day," and I put it under a notebook he had, and I was talking to my friend that imagine finding a note like this somewhere in your house or in your work.
Yeah.
Your imagination will kill you before that guy. Like, who is this? How is he gonna attack me? That's gonna be fun. Yeah. So thank you so much, David. You're awesome, and please send my regards to Red Barrel's team. And as I told you before, you guys owe me a lot of underwear. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're making horror games, because the genre needs veterans like you people, and I can't wait for the future project and to see where the freedom ends.
Nice. Yeah. And just a side note, yeah, send me your address. So we'll see if we can find you some underwear. Thanks. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Me too. Thank you so much, sir.